Hi everybody, welcome to another live stream. I wanted to make sure I got another live stream up this week. Although I have to say that I think that going forward, I might switch the streaming days to Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, because having the Disney Plus shows drop on a Wednesday is tough. So I think I want to see if I can play around with that, especially because I'll be doing a watch along for Hawkeye in the mornings. Hey, Chico, welcome back. If you join during a live stream, you'll get a shout out. We have 3 really great stories to go over today. And then, of course, as always, at the end of the stream, you can ask me anything you'd like for the final 10 minutes. And then I'm going to get to work on the What If episode. I did watch it, Keith. I did watch the What If episode this morning. So we'll go over that, of course, in a separate video. What did you guys watch first today? Did you watch What If or Star Wars Visions? Danny, you have your BTT shirt on. I love it. Hey, Liam Weldon, thanks for joining. Everyone went to What If, although poor Mika has not watched either. That's funny. Oh, we got a Star Wars Visions from Peyton. Oh, so a couple people went with Visions first. That's great. And Lisa saving it for later. All right, everybody, we're going to get to today's 3 stories. And then again, as I said, as always, you can ask me anything you'd like at the end of the stream. All right, so story number 1. Boop. So, Fantastic Beasts 3 has gone from a movie that there was chatter that it was going to go to HBO Max maybe, but instead it's going to theaters, and it has a release date. It's been moved up a few months to April 15th, 2022, which is in fact Easter weekend next year. So that's actually a pretty good release date, although the weekend before, there are 2 very competitive films that will be coming out. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and then also Bullet Train is set for that weekend, the weekend before, and that, of course, is the really big Brad Pitt actioner from David Leitch with the all-star ensemble cast. So, but still, Fantastic Beasts is a real... Hey, PDX Movie Nut. Fantastic Beasts is a big, fancy franchise, and so it has a little bit of weight to throw around itself. It's not like it's totally out of its league. So anyway, the movies though have been doing progressively worse. I looked at the box office numbers, and the Harry Potter films throughout the run consistently did about 300 million domestic, and then anywhere ranging from 800 million to $1 billion global. The final Harry Potter joined the $1 billion club, but the other ones came awfully close. Now, as for Fantastic Beasts, the very first Fantastic Beasts film underperformed slightly, but at least it still posted respectable numbers at 234 domestic and 814 global. But the last Fantastic Beasts was a real problem. Fantastic Beasts 2, The Crimes of Grindelwald. That only got to 159 domestic and to 654 global. So as you can see, that is really not good. So you can see why there was chatter that maybe they would send this movie to HBO Max. And they've given it a new title. The first one was just called Fantastic Beasts. Then the second one was called The Crimes of Grindelwald. And now it's time for the other main big character, Dumbledore, to get himself a title. And this latest entry is called The Secrets of Dumbledore. It's weird to me that the movies are named, after characters that aren't the leads. Maybe J.K. Rowling was trying to do the same formula that she did for Harry Potter, where she had a new group of students and then their teachers. Newt actually literally being a student of Dumbledore. But I don't understand why we have a trilogy which is supposed to be about Grindelwald versus Dumbledore, and yet neither one of them is a main character in the films. It's really weird in my opinion. And I know some people like Newt, but I don't particularly care for him or really any of those characters. I mean, they're okay, but they're certainly not, I think, driving the franchise. I don't think anyone's like, man, I hope that I hope, well, Iretti says the newt is supposed to be us. I mean, I didn't need someone to be me when I watched like Die Hard. I'm not like, yeah, but who represents me in this movie? I mean, I think that, you're there. It's okay. I think that that's a little bit of, I think that that's a mistake that sometimes Hollywood makes. I can understand it. I think it worked beautifully in Harry Potter, but I feel like it's not working here. Now, I think everyone's pretty excited for the Brazil setting. Brazil, like what is it, like the 1930s, right around there? I think that could be pretty cool. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the Brazil setting, as I know a number of people are. But the movie has two very big problems. The first, of course, is J.K. Rowling and her trans comments, which I think everybody can agree were inappropriate. And no matter what she might have meant, I think she misspoke, and I think that the way she handled it was even worse. So, and then the weirdest thing is that she's supposed to be doing an LGBT romance, like a torrid romance that has, a horrible breakup between Grindelwald and Dumbledore, and she's really, buried that, even though that's the heart of the films. And so I think that's a little bit of a problem there. I think that's a bit of a problem as well. I mean, she needs that community to champion the film, and she's really made them upset. So I think that's a really, really, really big problem for this movie. It's really a big problem. But then, of course, there's another problem, which I think these problems are both either one would be insurmountable in my opinion, but now it's two. So they've got two. And the other one, of course, is that they decided to fire Johnny Depp, and they did not fire Amber Heard for Aquaman 2. I feel that it's not only people feel a travesty of justice that Johnny Depp was fired at all, hey CJ, but that Amber Heard was not fired. I think people feel like it's not fair. It should be both or not, or neither one. So anyway, on top of all that, what's going on today? But Johnny Depp is at the San Sebastian Film Festival, and he has been speaking about cancel culture. Not aggressively, he was asked about it, but he decided to answer it. I think that Johnny Depp, for once in a long time, is making the right move, and that he is going on a charm offensive. And he is, I think it was a mistake for him to press this in court because he ended up with a guilty verdict against him, and I think that that's, in black and white, guilty, and I think that is the reason Warner Brothers fired him. They fired him right after that, and Amber Heard doesn't have any legal situation against her that anyone that can be pointed to. In fact, it could be pointed to that in a legal perspective, she's the victim, and it would look really bad for Warner Brothers to fire a victim, although I do think she's going to plague that film. So I think that Johnny Depp should never have pushed this in court. I think he should have just dropped it and kept going. I know it was very upsetting to him, but I think that he got bad advice for him to push it in the legal setting, especially because it all boils down to what that judge thought, and that judge for some reason really believed Amber Heard. That judge, we weren't in the room, we didn't see the case, but that judge really sided with Amber Heard, and that's unfortunate because it was just one individual. Where of course, you have a bunch of people. Johnny Depp. Movies are a mass audience business, and so Johnny Depp, needs to convince the most. As for where I stand, as I see some of you are talking about it, I think it was just a toxic situation where they both made mistakes, and I think that both of them should be able to just move on. I think that it was very bad for both of them, and I do believe that Amber Heard does a good job as Mira in the first Aquaman film. But I think, Juan talks about Johnny Depp needing to get clean. I agree. Johnny Depp needs to go to rehab. And I think he's working through that. I think they should have just separated and gone forward. I think that the longer that they stay entrenched in this, the worse it is for both of them. So Johnny Depp, though, spoke about cancel culture today, and he said that, nobody is safe from cancel culture. And, we've been talking about Simu Liu. We'll see what happens with him. But I think that some of the discussions around him have not been great. And the China situation, that he can't be cast in a movie if they want that movie to play in China. So I've heard from two sources that Disney is, they're aware of the problem. So we'll see what they decide to do. But we'll see. I think also Mads Mikkelsen has a really big problem. and what's going on, taking over for Johnny Depp. I think that's a position that I don't think anybody would really want to be in, quite frankly, considering how strong the fans support Johnny Depp. But I hope they'll be polite to Mads Mikkelsen because he didn't fire Johnny Depp. But I think that this movie here's the thing. Fantastic Beasts 3 would have to just be a phenomenal film to overcome these problems, right? Like a friend of mine with James Gunn, with the James Gunn controversy, said, I'm never seeing one of his movies again unless it looks really good, right? I mean, I think that that's like what it boils down to sometimes with these things. Like people are upset with Chris Pratt, but you're not going to not see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and people still went to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. So it really depends on the movie. So if the movie looks really, really good, I think people will go. But I think that based on the last two Fantastic Beasts, I don't really know if that's going to happen. So Warner Brothers has to knock this one out of the park. They can't make any mistakes on it. And again, I don't know. I think it's weird. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But who here is going to go and see? I think, we're all movie fans. So I think most of us would go and see Fantastic Beasts 3. But the question is, what will the person who only goes to the movies once a month, if that, do? That's the person that you really, really need to focus on. And also, I'm curious to see how many people won't actually go and see Aquaman. Again, although James Wan has to knock that out of the park if he wants to overcome the Amber Heard situation. Connie, I saw your tweets. Connie, I know you're torn about how bad the situation is, but I'm glad that you're still enjoying the franchise. I think that Harry Potter is a big brand for Warner Brothers, and they're still really trying to work on it. Hey, Bobby K. I can see where you're coming from, Bobby. Did they change the system? I think it's interesting you guys can join and add a comment when you join. That's fantastic. I think they made a couple of changes to memberships, but they did not alert me to all of them. But anyway, I feel that Harry Potter is a great brand. It's a cozy brand, but I think that they haven't figured out what to do with it beyond the original books. I still feel telling a story about Harry Potter and company, a couple of years later as adults is the way to go. Like, are they going to make the same exact mistake that Star Wars did? Right? Everyone was like, you have a window where the original cast is still alive and together. Why would you make a movie with Han Solo, Mark Hamill, and Carrie Fisher? And they didn't do that. It was like the dumbest thing ever. And I don't understand why, when you have the actors, they're younger though. They have a lot more time. Hopefully, I hope there are no tragedies. But I just don't understand why. It's just crazy. Oh, that Bobby says you can add a highlighted comment each month you're a subscriber now. Ah, good to know. That YouTube, always plussing things. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that movie. All right, so that's the first story of the day. Second story of the day. Boop. Look, everybody discovered this. So Iredy says, it's my 5 months anniversary as a member. Fantastic. And Juan says, wow, that's a lot of time. I wish they would make an HBO series of the Wizarding World. Juan, they are working on an HBO Max series for the Wizarding World, but they can't talk about it publicly because Warner Brothers is not allowed to until their deal with Universal runs out. So they're doing it secretly. Look at all these comments here. Let's see here. 18 months. Hi, y'all. Love you, Grace. Hey, MG Blue. Rashad says, I like this. World of Devon, thanks for joining again. Mexican 8 Nacho says, what? Okay, well, maybe we'll do this a little bit toward the end here. Let's see here. Troy says, I didn't realize how long I'd been a member. Andrea found it. That's right, Platinum Diva. 35 months, you win so far. Although you and Mexican Nacho are very close. Yeah, it's crazy I've been doing memberships for that long. Bryce also found it. Never miss a live. Love all the work you do. Aw. And Rohan. Let's see, Brendan, this is fun. We have a little bit of an interruption. Hey, Brett D. That's very sweet of you. That's so funny. That's so interesting. All right, so let's get on to the second story of the day. And that's that Netflix has solidified their deal with Roald Dahl. Hey, Emily Jackson. And they settled their deal. And that actually is a graphic that they did for an announcement 3 years ago when they did a deal for for animated series based on Roald Dahl's work. Hey, Zeester, you're tied with Platinum Diva for 35 months. So that's when Taika Waititi did his deal. I did the boop right before we did all that stuff. So I booped a little early. I booped a little early on that one. So I did boop, but then we got distracted with how fun it is with these comments. So for this Netflix situation, they made this graphic to announce those animated series 3 years ago, and that's when they made the deal with Taika Waititi for a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory animated show, and they're still working on that. But now they've signed a deal for Roald Dahl projects overall. Although I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with the Warner Brothers doing the Wonka prequel that's coming up in 2023. So how is this stuff all spread out? And then how is Warner Brothers going to feel that they're investing in Wonka when they can't continue with it because now does Netflix have all the rights? I think it's a little bit weird. I think it's a little messed up in my opinion. I mean, I think when you move a product around all over the place, it lacks consistency. And the only reason you would do that is if you were unhappy with the way things were going. And I guess Roald Dahl's team feels, his estate feels that, the Willy Wonka musical didn't do very well, although I loved that. That was on Broadway from Warner Theatrical. Witches, which just, the remake, which just went to HBO Max, that wasn't particularly well received. So I guess they feel, let's try Netflix. But they still have this Wonka 2023 movie all set up. For the most part, there hasn't been a lot of Roald Dahl stuff. There's been The Big Friendly Giant over at Disney, which of course, hey Majestics, thanks for joining, was of course Spielberg directed. And then of course there's the classic James and the Giant Peach stop motion animation from Tim Burton and Henry Selick, and then Fantastic Mr. Fox from Wes Anderson. And that's right, Jack Tomlinson, Netflix is going to do Matilda over again, with Emma Thompson playing a role that's been historically actually played by an actor in drag. So I think that it'd be interesting. I mean, I agree with Denzel just saying, do we really need more Willy Wonka? I think that Roald Dahl is a little bit like Seuss. I think that, I don't think there's too much you can do with the property, but we'll see what the Taika Waititi animated series looks like. Although it would drive me crazy if I were Warner Brothers and I was working so hard to do this Wonka prequel, and then Taika Waititi for a competing company is doing an animated series based on the same property. I'd be like, where are people going to go? So that to me is a little bit frustrating. So we'll see what happens. But I think this is great for Netflix. I think that, we're not only in a talent war, but an IP war. And Netflix, of course, needs to make sure they continue to have original content. By the way, this Saturday is Netflix's big presentation day. I will actually be taking Friday off because I'll be working on Saturday. Because Saturday is when they have their it's like a 3-hour presentation from 12 to 3 Eastern Standard Time. And they're going to be presenting a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm sure a couple of trailers should drop. And so, I mean, at least I hope that's not a big dud of a day. That seems almost impossible to me. They've got to have something worth covering. So I will be covering that on Saturday afternoon. So, but let's see. I mean, they should. I'm hoping at the very least there's a Cowboy Bebop trailer or teaser, and maybe something for The Witcher. So it could be pretty cool. I think it could be pretty cool. All right, so that's the second story of the day. But I do like that graphic that they have left over. The chocolate bar and the golden ticket is Netflix underneath. Netflix, a golden ticket indeed. That's really fantastic. All right. So that's the second story of the day. Hold on. Now for the third story of the day, boom, baby. Speaking of talent wars, somebody snapped up Eddie Murphy. And who is it? It's Amazon. Now, I find it very interesting. SNL, of course, has a long history of churning out talent and them leveling up once they leave the show. It's interesting. Not everyone can do it. Like, for instance, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on her name because, Kate McKinnon. Kate McKinnon looked like somebody who was definitely going to level up, but it hasn't worked. And also, unfortunately, I think Kristen Wiig has worked to a degree, but it seems to be harder for female cast members, although Tina Fey, of course, huge SNL star. But, there's been big movie stars like Bill Murray, Chevy Chase, Will Ferrell. Of course, Steve Martin did a lot of movies for a while, Three Amigos with Martin Short. But speaking of Steve Martin and Martin Short, now because there's so many streaming services, older SNL talent is starting to become very valuable here. So first, so Steve Martin and Martin Short don't get a lot of work these days, but suddenly they're incredibly valuable in to Hulu with Only Murders in the Building. Mexican 8 Nacho, you're right. Bill Hader hasn't really worked out in movies, but very successful with Barry on HBO. Love Barry. Where is the new season of Barry? That's taken forever. And then also, of course, Jason Sudeikis has become a huge star thanks to Apple TV. So suddenly, Maya Rudolph, kind of, but also, again, not to the level of, I'm thinking like a female cast member who would be considered as successful as Bill Murray, Chevy Chase, Will Ferrell, like that level. I think Maya Rudolph certainly has been successful, but not to the same degree. So, but now TV is becoming a new space. And Adam Sandler, also one of the bigger movie stars to come out of Saturday Night Live, but then floundered. But he has a big Netflix deal, and now Eddie Murphy has a big Amazon deal. This is coming off of Coming to America. Amy Poehler, I think, is pretty good, but still not to the level, I think, of some of the others. She's certainly higher up there. I agree. She's a good choice. But I mean, I think if you take out Parks and Rec, she doesn't really have anything else. She hasn't been able to parlay that into a consistent career. So anyway, so Eddie Murphy coming off of Coming to America, the sequel, Coming to America, 2 in the middle there, that was a big hit for Amazon. So now they have a deal. So it's a 3-picture deal. He's going to develop 3 movies for them with the potential to star. I think he's definitely going to star. I don't see Eddie Murphy producing something for somebody else. So that's fantastic. But first, he, of course, has to do some stuff for Netflix, which he's already signed a deal for. He'll be, of course, doing Beverly Hills Cop 4 for Netflix. And then Kenya Barris has written a comedy that will co-star Eddie Murphy and Jonah Hill. So as soon as Eddie Murphy's done over at Netflix, he's going to head on over to Amazon. So Amazon's really working to build up their slate, and I think they're quite competitive, in fact. They've started to release their numbers opposite everybody else. And in fact, I believe they're above Disney Plus. I think it goes Netflix, Amazon, and then Disney Plus. So that's pretty impressive. All right, so those are the 3 stories of the day. It is 3:55. You can ask me anything you'd like until 4:05. And then I've got to get to work on the What If episode of the day. I'm doing good, Chico. Thank you for asking. Majestic, there are some things I don't review because there just isn't a big enough audience. Like, for instance, I don't know if I'm going to even bother to do a spoiler review for Doom Patrol because the interest in that show is just so low. So I think that's an issue. I wouldn't count Julia Louis-Dreyfus as an SNL member, Dogomania, because I believe her tenure there was just so short. She doesn't really register as a cast member, in my opinion. So I think that's how I would do that too. Jimmy Antoine says, when do you think we will get a first look at The Little Mermaid? That's a good question. Now that we have a date and it's 2 years away, I don't think you'll get anything more than, I think maybe next summer. I don't think they don't want to overexpose it. Ivan Sarmiento says, thoughts on the leaks for Doctor Strange 2? Those are some pretty big leaks, boy. You know, they did takedown strikes for some of the images, but they couldn't catch them. You can't catch them all. Those are incredible leaks. And just so you know, those pictures were floating around the Scoop community over the weekend. And, you know, we can't share them because, you know, that's the rule is if something is taken as a photo outside, but the person was free, it was a free person who took the picture, then that's fair game. But if you have a still, which is considered of a film, which is considered property of a studio, that's theft. So you can't share or talk about that. But I will tell you that those leaks are correct. Although, as I told you, they're doing extensive reshoots right now. So things could change. Let's see here. Donnell Jr., I don't have any She-Hulk tea right now. Desert Knight says, do you think Beanie Feldstein is miscast as Monica Lewinsky? Not at all. I think she's actually doing a good job. I think the problem is that it's just not a very sympathetic story from either side. You know, I mean, I don't know. I'm watching the show. I'm enjoying it. I think she's doing a fine job. But they cheated. They cheated, and I don't know how. I don't know what Monica Lewinsky thought was going to happen, quite frankly. Let's see here. Owl Watch says, "Hey Grace, who's an actor you think would fit perfectly in the wizard world?" I don't know. I think anyone could, if you get them the right role. Evelyn says, Owen Wilson, Rami Malek, and Jason Sudeikis will host SNL the next few weeks. Which are you the most excited for? That's a great question, Evelyn. I guess I'm going to go with Owen Wilson. I'm enjoying the Owen Wilson renaissance, right? The Wilsonaissance. I think it's great. I think Rami Malek's great. I'm excited for him too. Jason Sudeikis, I never actually enjoyed him very much on Saturday Night Live, so I'm not like, woo, more of that. He probably will do a pretty funny Ted Lasso sketch though. But I don't know. I've been excited for SNL the last couple of episodes before they were done for the year. And every time I was like, because I thought the host would be so good, and then every time I was like, wow, that was awful. So I'm not going to get my hopes up this year. Special Needs says, Grace, have you seen The Many Saints of Newark? I was invited to a press screening on Monday. But the Venom screening is next week, and there's some other stuff. It's just I don't want to go to a movie theater that many times right now, so I'm actually going to have to just watch it when it hits HBO Max the morning of and review it that day, I'm afraid. Thanks for joining, Guy from Kings Highway. Let's see here. Barbie says, will Wanda be redeemed at the end of Multiverse of Madness, or should be a villain going forward? I think some of the things that she's doing right now, it might change it because I think the reaction's not been so positive. I think there will be a question as to why they would have the first Marvel villain who is legit evil be the woman. I think that would be a conversation that might pop up. I don't know. Disney gets away with things that no other franchise would usually, but I think a lot of Wanda fans will be like, why Wanda? Why would you do that to Wanda? Marvelous Jack says, hey Grace, do you think Charlize Theron would be good casting for Mystique? I don't know if she would take the role. I think whoever does it has to be willing to do, the full body makeup. And I think that Charlize Theron probably feels at this point it's a tough role because a lot of the times when you're being Mystique, it's another actor. So I think casting someone who's like in the physical space, like a model, was a smart idea. Andrea says, I like Wanda being evil. I want to see her as a dangerous person. But are you prepared to see Wanda be a murderer? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Denzel, of course I'm watching Real Housewives of Beverly Hills tonight. Woohoo! Let's see here. Platinum Diva, Wanda has actually never murdered anybody in the comics. I think maybe she murdered Scott Lang accidentally, but that was an accident, I believe. I think, I don't want to give too much away. You guys are already making me give away too much stuff. Sohn says, now that she's Kate Bishop, what are your thoughts on Haley Steinfeld's music career? Well, she doesn't have much of a music career, to be honest, right? But I have to say some of her songs are pretty good, so it's fine. That's easy for you to say. That's right, 29 months for us. I agree, Denzel, that, Wanda is supposed to be dealing with grief and mental illness, and I think, vilifying that is a slippery slope. Adam Sabato says thoughts on Ghostmaker and Miracle Molly in the Batman comics. Well, I like their looks for both of them. James Tynion sure is on a new character streak, huh? Punchline was such a disappointment that I'm a little nervous about any other new characters because Punchline just went nowhere. But I'm kind of come to really like Ghostmaker, to be honest with you. Although I still don't know enough about Miracle Molly. I bought her her origin comic the other day, but I haven't read it yet. Ishayat says, any idea if we will get another Disney show before Hawkeye like Ms. Marvel? No. I think that, you would have heard about it by now. I think your next up is Hawkeye, and then that's it for 2021. I don't even know where they're going to put Boba Fett, to be honest with you. If they suddenly say Boba Fett debuts in January, I wouldn't be surprised. We'll find out, I'm sure. We have to wait till November 12th for that? That seems too late. Let's see. We should be getting a trailer for Boba Fett pretty soon, I would think. That's great. That's easy for you to say. I'm glad you're enjoying that. Barbunage says, what are you most excited for, House of Gucci or Dune? Oh, both big movies. But I gotta say House of Gucci. I like that historical mob kind of stuff. It has a Goodfellas kind of feel to the trailer, and I love that stuff. So I'm excited. Evelyn, I'm going to talk about the Shang-Chi Disney Plus situation on Sunday for Movie Math. And yes, Connie, Shang-Chi, I heard from my contact at Disney, will be no extra cost starting November 12th on Disney Plus. Oh, it's 4:05. Okay, everyone, I had a lovely time talking with you, as always. Thanks for being a member. And if you're not a member, thanks for joining anyway. I hope you had a good time. Hope you'll consider becoming a member sometime in the near future. And if not, that's cool too. So thank you so much. This is the last live stream for the week, and the next one will be on Monday. All right, everybody. What If breakdown coming soon and some other stuff. And then, of course, on Saturday, where I'm going to be covering that big Netflix day. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.